Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Yes, we're going to get into all things European Championships in this week's episode, as promised. Now, for those of you that tuned into the Rab Show last night on Fuse and shared all of your thoughts and opinions on all things that happened in Perth, well, yeah, it's going to hit this week's episode. So strap yourselves in, because it's not all sunshine and roses with the Euros. For those of you who were there in Perth, you're going to know what I'm going to be chatting about. The venue, the security, everything else. We'll get into it. But before we do, let's get through our introductions then, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And yeah, we do plug this every week at this point. Our Patreon. People do often ask us, well, what's the best way to help support you guys in doing what you do? Well, yeah, you can head to our Patreon page. Well, there is a link there to click on support, and when you do, you get your mitts on loads of extras. So yes, you're helping to help, support your favorite wee piping podcast, but as a reward, you get our weekly Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show. You get our monthly Fly on the Wall documentary series, which is exclusive to Patreon subscribers. And June's is in production right now, so hopefully we'll be releasing that in the next few days. Watch this space. But yeah, tons of exclusive interviews, performances, episodes of Rab Show Plus. There's tons back there on our Patreon page. So if you haven't clicked on that link yet, well, what are you doing? Go and check it out, and you will be immediately awesome.
Oh, what a swell night we're having. The Patreon faithful are awesome.
Yes, they are. If you haven't clicked the button, go and check it now. It's in your show notes. Woohoo! Yeah, go check us out on Patreon. Oh, I don't know. The production value of this pod sometimes goes up and sometimes goes down. There you go. Hi, we tried these things. Sometimes they work, sometimes not so much. But yeah, shout out to our Patreon faithful. You guys are awesome, and you really are helping keep the wheels turning here at the Rab Show. So thank you, folks, over there. Right, with each and every Big Rab Show, we do open the door to listener mail, and this week is no different. That email address hasn't changed from the start of the show. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Now, we received so many emails this past weekend, it would make your head spin. Now, there's quite a few emails that I received on the Saturday at the European Championships. And they were sent, in the wee hours, where people might have been visiting the beer tent and then decided, I'm going to throw Rab an email. This is a disgrace, right? And then I get all the emails then the following day on the Sunday where people have woken up, rubbed the sleep from their eyes and thought, oh, did I send Rab an email? Yes, you did. So I was in the process of putting the script together on the Sunday after the Europeans, and then I had to go back and right, this email's been redacted. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of cover all the listener mail with a very broad brush, and for those of you that did ask not for your email to be read out, under no circumstances, Rab, should you read my email. Do not worry. I will not be reading your email on the show. Okay? So for everyone that's listening right now, panicking, thinking I'm going to out them in some way or sink them, no, absolutely not. There'll be no recrimination. There'll be none of that. In fact, if anything, we did receive some weekly drones on the Euro, so we will get into some of those. Those are interesting. But we did get an anonymous email or two, and I'm going to read one of them to kind of give you a bit of a flavor. It kind of summarized both emails that we got that were submitted anonymously. All right? So, as you can gauge from this week's pod, pretty much all of the correspondence, our emails, our weekly drones, and of course this week's topic, we'll be talking all about the European Championships. And yeah, not all of it's good. So this came in from Anonymous. Okay? No name. Let's start. It said, it's difficult to put into words the shambles that was the Europeans. Now, isn't that a strong way to start an email? I shall continue. It says, especially after the near perfection that was the British. Well, you are missing the UK's, but okay, fair enough. Goes on to say, after a successful 2025, it was moved to a new and smaller location, with half of the new park fenced off due to flooding. An interesting reason, especially during the record heat wave. Yes, I'll move on. This resulted in a banned village, akin to a shanty town, with very little warm-up space, bands needing to take turns when a space freed up, and others warming up in the clearly signposted no playing area beside the drum major arena. Yes, we had detailed reports about this, and yeah, that paragraph I just read rings true to everything I've just heard. We'll unpack that in a minute. All right, let's move on. It says the Grade 1 arena was stuck in a corner behind some food vans, and their final tuning was so close it probably impacted some band performances. Watch the videos back, especially of Scottish Power's countdown, if you want to hear how bad it was. Yes, we have those recordings of Grade 1, of course. Yep, shout out to Ewan, who was there in the arena with the camera and captured all the action from Grade 1. And yeah, this emailer was absolutely on the money. You can hear it clear as day. Other bands in final tuning hitting their introductions and, you know, thundering their way through some tunes, tuning up as bands are starting on the line. Very distracting. Anyway, moving on. The email continues. Whilst it was great to have seating at the Grade 1 arena, I'm at a loss to understand why it was set up below ground level and 15 metres back from the fence, resulting in no one being able to sit and actually see anything other than the standing audience's legs. Yes, I'd heard about this as well, that the tiered seating that they had was rendered sort of useless as to where they had it. But anyway, moving on again. This email is quite scathing, isn't it? But I think it's quite factual too. Moving on, it says, on the opposite side of the hill was the 6-foot perimeter, a very convenient place for passers-by and dog walkers to stand with a perfect view to watch the bands without paying the admission fee. Yes, this was also observed where lots of people who were just out, as you say, walking their dogs and just like, oh, there's a competition happening over there, and just proceeded to stand there with their dog and watch. Didn't have to pay anything. Anyway, carry on. It says here, prize giving was horrendous as the stage was set up in a corner instead of the middle of the widest point. Okay, this resulted in a massed bands with everyone squashing towards the stage and bands miles back almost at the tented village, playing to each other during the minute's silence, most likely because they couldn't hear the announcement that was one about to happen. Yeah. So yeah, we heard about this, and there was complaints and things submitted to ourselves in the Rab Show that there was bands that were playing during that minute silence. And I believe that is the possible reason for this, is because everyone was so spread out and perhaps they did not hear the announcement saying we're going to observe a minute silence. Yeah, difficult that. Let's move on. It says leaving was also a shambles. Buses hadn't been allowed to park near the site, so had to find a side street, which led to bands leaving the event to get to their bus, walking up and down streets, not knowing where their coach was, whilst the coaches drove around, not knowing where their band was. Not the best for safety. Yes, we got a lot of comments about that as well, about pipe banders walking the streets of Perth, searching for a possible pickup with their band coach. A lot of people getting lost hopelessly, and some people even sort of give up and actually paid for a taxi. Yeah, I'd heard about that as well. So, I don't know, not the best arrangements for coaches. I'm sure you're going to hear more of that in a lot of our feedback. It goes on to say, after a great 2025, the Eglinton setting the benchmark for the British, it's worrying to see the Europeans get it so wrong. Ouch. Now, I'm reading this email from Anonymous because it pretty much summarized a lot of the correspondence that we got following the Euros. A lot of very angry people following the Euros about the general arrangement of the venue. That cordoned off part of, out of bounds, everyone was asking, why can't we go in there, spread out a little, you know? But, yeah, it was fenced off. And as you said, there was signs up saying, do not play. And people eventually just started ignoring them. It was all a bit of a shambles. As for the pipe band village being called a shanty town, yes, heard reports about that, how space was an absolute premium. Bands were on top of each other. Very difficult to hear for bands to tune and stuff, and just seemed to be a bit of a mess. So don't even get me started on security at the venue. That in itself is a completely separate topic, and we will get into that in this week's topic of the week. We have some thoughts, people. But yes, that email pretty much covered most of the correspondence, if not all of it. Some people did have some pretty nasty experiences getting in and out of the venue, all of that. And we'll talk about this on the topic because there's so much to cover. Honestly, in this week's topic of the week, I do think that listener mail helped introduce the kind of feeling from the Euros. People overall not impressed. All right, let's move on. That's it for listener mail. If you do want to send us in your own listener mail, of course you can do. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. But please do send us your listener mail when you're sober and you haven't had like 12 pints. And you go, I'm going to email Rab. Wait till he hears this by. Hey, Rab, guess what? Them boys are nothing but a bunch of... Yeah, insert expletive here. So please do send us your reasoned and sober thoughts, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Right. Now it's time for one of our favourite points in the show, Weekly Drone. And I wonder what weekly drones we would have on the shelf this week. What could they possibly be about? I wonder. JD, give us the first one for this week, mate. Go on ahead.
The Weekly Drone.
Perth. Rab, what is happening with this Perth contest? Change of venue. Buses can no longer park at the event. Bands must remain on the march past until conclusion, even if you have a ferry to catch. And looking ahead to Dumbarton, the last Grade 1 band doesn't go on until 1740, assuming it runs on time. A long day for the kids and lower grades who are out from stupid o'clock.
Yeah. Weekly Droner, a fair point. Well made. First of all, the point about parking and all of that, the Euros, I've already mentioned it, about how coaches and bus parking was pretty much, didn't go very well, did it? With drop off at the gate and then, everybody fend for themselves. Not the best. But also, when you were talking about Dumbarton, that's also a fair point. There's quite a number of bands that will be competing at Dumbarton from Northern Ireland, and I'm sure a lot of them will be planning on doing it on the day trip. What I mean by that is that they catch the very early ferry in the morning at like 7 a.m. or earlier, and then they get to Dumbarton on time to play, and then they'll basically have to pack up their instruments and race back down the road again to catch the last ferry home. And they might find that giving the timings and everything that has been allocated for Dumbarton, that it will be an incredibly long day. And a lot of those bands will now have to pivot and say, well, we can no longer do this on the day trip. So will we see bands withdrawing from Dumbarton as a result of the timings? No idea. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that front. But I'm hopeful that that won't be the case. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Your guess is as good as mine. Those bands can either decide to completely withdraw and say they can't do it, or they're going to have to start looking into getting hotels and places to stay, and then that's another night for their coach company as well, and people potentially missing a day's work, all of that kind of stuff. There's so many other different nuances and logistical things that goes into that decision. We're going to have to wait and see how Dumbarton fares out. But yeah, it's a fair point. It is going to be an incredibly long day in Dumbarton. Anyway, let's move on. We have another weekly drawing. Go on ahead, JD. Hit us with this one. I'm guessing this is about the Euros.
The weekly drone.
Come on, guys. You're better than that. Rab, I experienced firsthand several instances at Perth during the March Past where bands openly and vocally showed disgust at their results. We can't all win. The results are the results. Be better, not bitter, guys.
Oh, be better, not bitter. Yeah, Weekly Droner. For those of you who did see that on our live stream of the results, shout out to the Rab Show team again. Managed to get in quite a good position this time. We were able to hear pretty much everything from, not just from the announcements themselves, but also from the celebrations of bands as well. And yeah, you mentioned that about how people were quite vocal about, not placing or not finishing where they believed they should have finished, etc. That was definitely a point that we noticed on the live stream. And if you didn't, you can go back and watch at it again. There were some prizes that were read out, and you were expecting to hear a huge roar. The Glengarrys would go, and then you get, yeah, woohoo, we won. All that kind of stuff. Didn't happen, though. There was some audible silences and some tutting going on, so I have to say, oh, right, oh, jickers, what's going on? I don't know. To have your band's name read out at all in the park is always worth a cheer, in my opinion. So that's just me, though. And I'm sure you can all disagree. But yes, there was absolutely some audible moans and groans. And people who didn't seem pleased to be placed in certain positions. Now, is that the correct response? I agree with our weekly droner. It does come across as sour grapes, bitter, perhaps, and just, not great. If your band gets read out, and even if it's, lifting best band on parade, which is a prize that nobody really understands. I don't understand it, but they seem to award it at most majors. And best band on parade, the such and such pipe band, and people can't, what prize did we just win there? Okay. No one seems to know what that is. I don't. But yeah, it gets awarded with every major. And yeah, it gets like a ripple of applause. But if your band name gets read out, you should be, jumping about, Glengarry's flying everywhere. Whoa, let's go, champagne. But yeah, it doesn't seem to happen that way. Yeah, fair point, Weekly Droner. I agree. And I'm hoping next major championship we have ahead of us at the Scottish, that regardless of where anybody's band is read out, we will hear a cheer and a ripple of applause, and maybe the odd Glengarry or two flying around. There we go. All right, Weekly Droner, I think we have time for another couple here. Is this one about Perth as well?
It's the weekly drone.
European Pipe Band Championships. Hi, Rab and team. Firstly, thank you all for your coverage of the event. My heart sank a little when they announced a return to the same venue at Massed Bands. The venue was a complete and utter shambles. No bus parking is a disaster. Firstly, being stuck in a traffic jam due to another event was not the best start. Having to lug in drums, pipes, gazebos, etc. was hard work whilst dealing with overzealous security and ticket staff at the door. In my humble opinion, taking a half-full bottle of water off a child is a step too far, especially when denied access to buses. Security chasing folk across the field shouting for tickets whilst bands were already late due to the silly system in place was crazy. The supposed band gazebos, less than 10, supplied by the championships, were tiny and full immediately. Gazebos were crammed in everywhere, with no order to anything. Bands were literally on top of each other with instruments everywhere. It made no sense having such a tiny field when the field next door was empty, with rock-solid ground too that buses could have parked on. Total joke. The tuning areas were all too close to the competition rings, making everything much harder. Nothing worse than competing in a ring thinking sounds are coming from your band when actually they're the other band tuning up. The RSPBA need to do much better. Buses are a necessity. To decide well in advance that the weather won't allow parking makes me highly suspicious that this was a trial to see if they can get away with having an event with no parking. The verdict is simply no.
Was it a trial to have an event with no parking? I don't think that's the case. No, I think the weekend itself, there was a bunch of things happening in the town that weekend. Like, I think even that evening there was parades and things, and like a festival was happening the following day, and like the entire town was closed. So there was many different things happening in that area, and perhaps it was all too much happening at the one time. I think that maybe a collection of so many things happening just made it, unworkable. And that's my own, I don't know, from looking at this situation from the outside. Now, I did not attend the event myself, but I did have a good number of the Big Rab Show team who were there and give me first-hand experience of what it was actually like to be there on the ground. And they've corroborated pretty much everything that we've been told here by our weekly droners on our emails, that, everything that they have described here is pretty accurate. And as for the fenced-off area, it seems to be the topic that everyone's chatting about all this extra spare ground that was there, but that we couldn't use. And I believe that was cordoned off, yes, for flooding reasons. I believe that was one of the purposes. I don't know, another one was kind of bandied around that perhaps that ground was being kept free for the festival thing that was happening the following day. Not sure if that was the case or not. Don't know, that's unconfirmed. But there was so many things that collectively went wrong. And it sounds like we're absolutely crapping on the Euros, aren't we? Like, this has been such a negative review. We haven't even got to the topic yet. But this is people's experience, And yes, we have had some good points raised about the Euros, and we will get into that in the topic. I promise. I know this does sound like a very negative start, but the security was a huge topic. We're going to talk about it now at this point. There's been so much commentary about the people in the high-vis that just were a shambles. There is no other word for it other than just awful. And I think, in my opinion, listening and looking at all the commentary online talking about the security at the European Championships, for me, I think it comes down to communication between the security company that has been hired in to manage the event and the people who run it. And I don't know if there was a huge amount of communication with the security team. Now, what I mean by that is whenever the security team arrived on the day, they seen it as a musical event. So whenever a security team arrived, they go, right, okay, we're going to be managing a music festival, everybody, right? And we need to make sure the beer tent is this and the gates like this and make sure nobody stage dives, stuff like that. So they handle it like a music festival, like a rock festival or rock or pop or country, whatever your music tastes are, and that's how they handle the crowd. But in my experience, a pipe band audience is a much different audience. the piping crowd pretty much policed themselves, to be honest. We don't need a security guy breathing down our neck going, "You cannot carry in a bottle of water." Seriously? And yeah, there's been so much commentary about the security team that was in place at the Euros and how they treated people, which was just awful. Some of the stories that I've heard would just make you cringe. And you were wondering, like, what are these security folks doing? Like, even at a metal festival or something like that, even that wouldn't be acceptable, some of the behavior that I've heard. Some of the confrontations that happened at the beer tent, even some of the confrontations that happened at the arena by security staff, completely uncalled for. And I'm not going to give specific examples because then people could start identifying who I'm talking about. But suffice to say, some of the stories that I've heard have just been terrible. You can go and have a look. There's been tons of commentary about the security staff at the European Championships on social media. You can see all of that conversation. And it's just, makes for some horrific reading. Now, we have had some run-ins with security ourselves at the Worlds each year. That's been a topic on the show that we do as part of our review of the Worlds, of the behaviour of security staff. And last year, they were okay at the Worlds. But as you can see here at the Euros, they completely got it wrong. You know, confiscating half-drunk bottles of water from children, chasing people across the park for various things to check their bag, to make sure they have a ticket, all this kind of stuff. And a bunch of others that I've heard that are just makes no sense. Makes no sense. So, yes, security at the European Championships, is it a win? Is it a lose? I think it's absolutely a lose. It was a fail. Security staff were a disaster. There you go. All right, JD, come on, give us one more weekly drone. A cheery one. Can we have a positive one about the Euros, maybe? Come on.
The weekly drone.
RSPBA shambles again. Perth. Where do I even start? What a joke. They've moved venue to a large park and fenced off a tiny section of it for us, ramming us all in. Coaches, they don't even have parking at the venue. They've let coaches drop bands off at the venue, then the coaches have to park at the other end of town now. At least a couple hundred people are standing waiting for coaches because we were all forced to stay on the march forward. That was, again, an absolute shambles. Stewards going about telling us to keep drums and Glengarrys on. Absolutely ridiculous from the RSPBA. If it wasn't for the bands, there wouldn't be these competitions, and we get treated horrendously.
That's an interesting drone right there. I would like to know more about the circumstances. Now, that weekly drone was actually received by us not long after our live stream ended. So this was just after Field Marshal had marched off as European champions and everyone had dismissed for the day. So this was very quickly after the event concluded, this weekly drone came through. Now, at the weekly drone I was talking about there, that bands had been ordered to keep their Glengarrys on, keep their drums on, and stay. Basically, I think this was because bands had not been formally dismissed at this point. There was evidence that, bands, once they had their grade read out and the prizes, well, that's it. They packed up their stuff and they were going home. And they hadn't been formally dismissed. Now, we did see it on socials that bands had been warned to say that, well, you need to stay within the grand finale, within formation and everything until you are formally dismissed. And if you weren't formally dismissed and you were witnessed to have been leaving the park without being excused, well, you could potentially run into some problems because that is essentially breaking the rules. Yeah. So that's an interesting weekly drone that we did see evidence of bands making that choice and deciding, okay, we're going home. And they hadn't been dismissed at that point. Now, how the association is going to handle that, I don't know. Will they start dishing out punishments to bands that, just decided we're going home, see us all later, even though the band dismissed command had not been issued? That's going to be an interesting dynamic, that one. How's that going to pan out? No idea. But I do know that bands were definitely forewarned and were told these are the rules around march pasts, grand finales, mass bands, all that kind of stuff. And this is what you need to do. And they would ask bands to please adhere to the rules. And with the looks of things, some bands did not. So that's an interesting one. But yes, as you can tell, that was another downer one. We've had no positive weekly drones about the Euros this week. Right, so that's quite a negative start on our look at the European Championships. But in my opinion, for all the negative that we've just went through, I do believe there's a serious amount of positive. And we're going to get into all of that in this week's topic of the week, of course. But that's later. Yeah, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take myself a wee break at this point. Try and shake off the negativity, all right? And we're going to get into some news and updates of what else has been going on in the scene and what all we have to look forward to. Then, of course, we'll get into the topic. All right, folks, I'll be right back after a wee break. Ever wish you had a piping teacher on call 24/7? Well, now you do. Introducing the Interactive Player, a game-changing new practice tool at Dojo University. Play along with world champion pipers while the notes on your sheet music light up in time. Loop tricky phrases, slow down tough sections, zoom in to focus, and build speed automatically. It's like having a teacher right in your practice room, showing you how to master every tune at your own pace. So, sign up for a free trial today at pipersdojo.com and start learning smarter with Dojo U's Interactive Player. Okay, time for the news and updates. Now, folks, full disclosure. We're going to have to gloss over a lot of our news and updates because, yeah, this week's show is going to be pretty much dominated with all things European Championships, okay? But that's not to say that we have some ground to cover as it is, and we'll do our best. But if there is anything that we have neglected to say on this week's show or mention or anything like that, then please do email us in. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. And we'll do our best to get across pretty much every story that we can. But for now, let's start at the beginning then, shall we? Yeah, well, I have to say, but there was quite an exciting news story drop from the National Piping Centre. Now, this was a story that we've been keeping a track of ever since Willie McCallum announced that he was going to be stepping down as the principal of bagpiping at the BMUS Traditional Music degree course. And, well, we were always very curious, well, who are they going to have filling such big brogues? Well, it's been announced Finlay Johnson has been appointed. Yes. Two-time Glenfiddich champion, Brackgorm gold medal. Come on, there's such a serious list here. Yeah, Finlay has been announced as the new appointment to the BMUS Traditional Music Piping Degree Programme there, run in conjunction with the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland and the National Piping Centre. So Finlay joins a well-established team already, and they do talk about this in an article that they've published on bagpipe.news about the new appointment, where they have interviews with the team and everything, and Finlay himself, where they do talk about what he expects for this incoming semester, I guess. So there will be a bit of a gradual handover period, so whenever Willie McCallum does eventually step away, yeah, it'll be a few weeks from now, a few months from now. We'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. But it's such an exciting appointment, and I'm sure that Finlay will definitely bring all sorts of great experience there to that role. Now, he will be focusing initially on year 3 and year 4 pupils, so a lot of the senior players that have already been through a lot of the degree already, so that will be his focus from the outset. But yeah, we're keen to see how this develops in future, and we do wish Finlay the very best in his new appointment. Yeah, exciting developments, and that's one thing I'll say about the piping degree course there at the Conservatoire. It's that it's something that has never really sat still. It seems to be that every year that they bring on new students, the degree course offers something different. It seems to develop each time. Very interesting stuff. So if you are interested in finding out more information about the degree course, of course, you can go to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland website. which is rcs.ac.uk. Follow the links through the courses and everything, all the way through to the BMUS and traditional music and piping, and all of that information is there, including how to get your application forms in for, well, next semester, next year, which starts on the 20th of September 2027. There you are. But believe it or not, that process starts now. Yeah. So the deadline for applications here in the UK is the 1st of October, and for international students, it's the 1st of December. Now, there is an audition process and all sorts of different things. And yeah, so go and check it out. If you are interested in studying that piping degree, the ball starts rolling now. But yeah, just wanted to throw that news story out there. Quite an exciting appointment there. We do wish Wally McCallum the very best, who's been in that role for quite a while. And hi, on to pastures new, but really exciting to see world-class piper Finlay Johnson in that role. I'm very excited to see what he's going to bring there. There you go. All right, moving on. Well, we're keeping things focused a little bit here in the National Piping Centre. Just wanted to remind you all again that the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland, the applications are currently open. We mentioned this on our previous Rab Show, but just to remind you, applications close on the 24th of July. So this is open to all pipers, drummers, aged 10 and 25. All right, so if you're in that bracket, hey, there's your opportunity. You can go and check out the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland website. The full details are there of the application process. You don't need me to bore you with it. But also have tons of little promo videos and stuff to show you what the youth band actually get up to. And honestly, some of the opportunities that are presented as part of this program are just fantastic. So, yeah, they are a previous Big Rab Show award winner. This band can absolutely thump out the tunes. So, if you do want to take up that opportunity, applications are open now. However, they do close on the 24th of July. You have been warned. Go to the nypbs.co.uk for full information on how you can get applied and be a part of the band for next year. There you are. All right. Well, I'm going to very briefly mention about the Antrim and Newton Abbey Championships, the draw for which was just published there last night. They done the live stream and all of that. So let's briefly run through the draw here before we get into, well, come on, we're going to talk all things All-Ireland Championships, aren't we? Aren't we? Yeah, but before we get there, let's talk about the Antrim and Newton Abbey Championships, which is happening on the 18th of July. Now, the draw for this, it's not great. It is a minor competition, and it has seen a considerable drop in numbers, unfortunately. So, don't let that put you off, though. I do reckon we'll see some action in the circle at this, and I'm excited for it. All right, let's go through the draw, starting with the Wild West in Grade 4B. Yes, in Grade 4B at the Antrim and Newton Abbey Championships, we have 7 bands in here in total. We have Down Academy, Brady Ulster Scots, Tullylagan, my own band. Yep. Go on the Lagan. Then we have Letterkenny and District, Joseph Ford Memorial, Cleland Memorial, and Rafo. There you are. Then we have, for Grade 4A, we have 5 bands in there. So again, lower numbers than expected. We have Grantia, Letterkenny and District, Ballybreast, Cottown, and Altnavay. And that is your 4A. Yeah, Altnavay Memorial. Yeah, so moving on to Grade 3B then. Again, not a huge grade, but yeah, 6 bands in here. We have Grantia, Down Pipes and Drums, Drumlock, Cleland Memorial, Upper Cross Gar, and New Ross and District are making the trip. There you go. So yeah, a number of bands stretching their legs and playing up, which seems to be the story for the day. Yeah, looking at Grade 3A, we've 5 bands in here. Yeah. So, kicking things off, we have Drumlock, McNeilstown are next, then we have Kildogue, Irvine Memorial, and Down Pipes and Drums. There you go. All right, then, on to Grade 2, the ridiculous grade. Yes, we have a ridiculous grade, and a number of bands are playing up to stretch their legs. We have Kildogue, Irvine Memorial, Tullylagan, and McNeilstown. Yeah, stepping out in Grade 2 at the Antrim and Newton Abbey Championships. Now, for full information on all things to do with this competition, you can go and visit the website, including the draw for all of our drum majoring action as well. There's lots of that, actually. Shout out to our novice grade, where there's 4 heats for them. Our juniors, 5 heats for our juniors. Wow. Yeah, moving on to juvenile, there's 3 heats, and similar for the adults. There's 3 heats for adults as well. But yeah, full information on the RSPBA NI website right now for all things Antrim and Newton Abbey. Yeah, the entry's not great for this. But I still reckon we're going to have some real good tunes played in the circle here in Antrim Castle Gardens on the 18th of July. I'm looking forward to that. Full info on the RSPBA NI website. All right, let's get into the All-Ireland Championship, shall we? Oh, I cannot wait for this. Honestly, I do believe, now this is just my humble opinion, you can absolutely disagree if you want, but I do think that the All-Ireland Championships is a major championship in itself. You know, people on this side of the Irish Sea, we absolutely treat the All-Irelands like a major. And it kind of feels like a major too on the day. I don't know. It's so important for every band in that circle. Like, it means something. And that's the feeling I get with every All-Irelands that I've ever been to. There is always that want to win. There is a major championship feel with it. And I don't know. Should it be added onto the major calendar? I don't know. I would love to see more bands, of course, coming across from Scotland, the UK, and around the globe to play at this. And yeah, it would be brilliant to add that to the major calendar. But hey, it is a JAC event ran in conjunction with the IPBA and the RSPBA Northern Ireland branch. And yeah, I can't wait for this. This is going to be held in St. Catherine's Park in Lucan, County Dublin. And yeah, looking at the venue, this looks brilliant. There is a huge wealth of space around the place and tons and tons of parking. Yeah, absolutely loads of parking. They have a regular spectator car park. They have an overflow car park. They have a coach car park. They have, there's car parks for everything. It's brilliant. So, as you heard at the start, that's been a bit of a problem. And you might hear us talking a bit more about car parking. But yeah, genuinely, the venue at St. Catherine's Park is looking to be a cracking place. Now, I've never actually been to it myself, so I'm excited to head down and actually see what it's going to be like on the ground. But I've heard from all intents and purposes, preparations are definitely well underway, and things are looking good for the All-Irelands this weekend. Even looking at the weather forecast, you know, I was a bit nerdy and started looking at the weather. Apparently, it's going to be dry and overcast, but warm. It's going to be like 21, 22 degrees Celsius. So Americans could do the conversion to Fahrenheit. But yeah, it's going to be good weather. Actually quite toasty. So will that have an effect? We'll have to wait and see. Right. Let's get into the draw then, shall we? The All-Ireland Championships. Oh, man, it's going to be fun for a lot of different reasons. So let's get into the Wild West first of all. Then Grade 4B, the Wild West. Yeah! Wild West. Now, Grade 4B at the All-Irelands this weekend, 10 bands in total in the circle here. That's going to be interesting. Let's go through the draw. We have the Major Sinclair Memorial kicking things off at 11 o'clock in the morning. Then we have Joseph Ford Memorial, the City of Limerick, Achill Pipe Band, Gorey Pipe Band, and then we have the Irish Pipers Band of San Francisco. Yes. Now, if memory serves me right, I think we did run into these guys before at a previous competition that the Rab Show attended. Now, that could be stuff that Rab got wrong, but we did actually catch up with these guys in the United States, and we actually filmed one of their performances. I think the video's on our YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing them now and looking for the All-Ireland. So, hi, brilliant. Shout out to the Irish Pipers Band of San Francisco. Looking forward to seeing you. Then we have Letterkenny in District, Hollymount, Tullylagan, and Breedy Ulster Scots. There you go. That's your Grade 4B. Yeah, the Wild West. Honestly, the reason I'm calling it the Wild West is that you just don't know. You know, anyone can roll into town that day and just absolutely lift it all. So good luck to all 10 of you. It's such a competitive grade and a joy to listen to. But yeah, I'm particularly looking forward to seeing the Irish Pipers Band of San Francisco. Fortunately, I probably won't be able to see you because I'll probably be preparing to play with my own band in Tullylagan because we're on shortly after you. So I'm going to miss the run, unfortunately. So if anyone is there, has a camera on them, please do catch performances in 4B for me. And yeah, I would like to see them. There you go. All right, let's move on. Grade 4A then on the day at the All-Ireland Championships. We've got 12 bands in here. Yes. Now, that's quite a good draw, isn't it? Yeah, so we have the Graham Memorial kicking things off at 11 a.m. Yes, followed by Money Gore, Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band, Cawtown, Altnavay Memorial, Youghal. Yes, that's how you pronounce that. I know last year I think I was pronouncing it Yogle, but yeah, the band members found that very funny and were very quick to tell me that was absolutely... Yeah. It's not pronounced Yogle, it's pronounced Youghal. There you go. And then after them, we have Ballybreast, Grantia, Marlacoo, Carrigaline, Letterkenny District, and Cullen. There you go. So again, quite a few names in there folk are already getting familiar with. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of good tunes played in that grade, I have no doubt. Oh, it's going to be exciting. 12 bands in 4A. So good luck to all of you stepping in the circle. If you do come out on top with some silverware, you deserve a pint in the beer tent. Although, I've been told there isn't a beer tent at this year's All-Irelands. Yeah, enough said about that. Let's move on. Looking at grade 3B then at the All-Irelands, we have 7 bands in total. Yes, kicking things off at 20 to 1 in the afternoon. We have William Kerr Memorial, followed by the Black Raven. Ballybowly are next. We have Down Pipes and Drums. New Rossin District will be there, of course. And then we have Drumlock and Upper Cross Gar. That is your grade 3B. Now, again, this is going to be an interesting grade with tons of good music played. Now, there's some names in here that already immediately jump out to me for bands that I really want to see. I do want to see Upper Cross Gar. They already have been sounding strong this year. Black Raven are always an attraction. I do think they're going to draw quite a large audience on the day. I'm keen to see them as well. Also, shout out to Drumlock Pipe Band. Absolutely love the Drumlock. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing them. New Rossin District as well. Come on. So many good bands. And Down Pipes and Drums, their drum corps are electric at the moment. So many good bands. Right, come on. I'm going to start going through the whole grade and picking them all out. So, yeah, good luck everyone in 3B at the All-Irelands. Have a good tune. Now, moving on to grade 3A then, we have 8 bands. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, that's on a par, I think, with previous, competitions. So let's go into the draw. Kicking things off at 20 to 3 in the afternoon, we have the Major Sinclair Memorial. Yes, followed by Cullabackie, Kildogue, Matt Boyd Memorial, Sirlain District, Irvine Memorial, McNeilstown, and Clough-Finn will be closing things off at about 25 past 3 in the afternoon. There you go, and that's your grade 3A. Now, the tunes that are being played here in grade 3A at the moment, yeah, I think I've said this so many times before and people have disagreed with me, but I think this is where the action is. All right? You can argue all you want, but I believe grade 3A is where the action is. So if you do want to go in it, have a listen to some real progressive approaches to some of the music. I would urge you to have a listen to 3A this weekend at the All-Irelands. Yeah. Some bands in there already immediately jumping out to me. Major Sinclair have been thumping a big tune this year. Really enjoying them. Clough-Finn, come on. Wow. And McNeilstown, the Matt Boyd, Sirla, come on. Kildogue and their big tone. So many bands in here. Cullabackie, Irvine Memorial. Oh, come on. Right, too many to pick from. Again, all 8 bands will absolutely thump a tune this weekend, and I hope they make it difficult for the judges. But good luck to everyone seriously there in 3A. That's going to be a very competitive grade. So, yeah, good luck. All right, moving on to the ridiculous grade then. Grade 2 on the day. Yeah, this is going to be quite an exciting grade because the first band on the line in grade 2 this weekend at the All-Irelands is the City of Dunedin. Yeah. City of Dunedin are making the trip across. Now, that's a heck of a trip. All the way across the Atlantic. But, oh man, are we excited to see them. This is going to be so good. So, yeah, they kick things off at 1:30 in the afternoon. Do put that in your calendar, on your whatever. Set a reminder on your phone. 1:30 in the afternoon. Dunedin's on the line. Don't miss it. It's going to be, oh man, that's going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to them. So, yeah, hoping to see you all there. And, yeah, hopefully I'll manage to catch a tune or two from you as well. Right, moving on. We have St. Joseph's Clondalkin. Now, we know how strong St. Joseph's have been sounding this year. Where are they going to fall in the pecking order is anyone's guess. Oh, man, good luck to the judges. And then next on we have Manor Cunningham. come on, Manor Cunningham. Like, we all know Manor Cunningham are going to want to retain that title. Yeah. That's so... I'm so excited to see Manor. Right, also, we have my own band, of course, in grade 2, the mighty Tullylagan. Yeah, go on, the Lagan. Yeah. Now, grade 2 is a medley competition this weekend, I believe, and I'm a huge fan of Tullylagan's medley. If you haven't had a listen to it yet, there has been previous recordings made, of course. Go and have a listen. But this grade 2, this weekend at the All-Irelands, man, it's going to be ridiculous. This grade is going to live up to that moniker. Absolutely. So, if you can't get a seat at grade 1, well, maybe, grab a seat at grade 2, which is happening earlier in the day. And, oh man, it's going to be so good. But I'm dead excited to see the city of Dunedin, St. Joseph's Manor, and the Lagan. It's going to be such a great weekend. I can't wait for grade 2. Now, not only am I looking forward to grade 2, but of course... yeah, the main attraction on the day, the top flight. Grade 1, we have 3 Grade 1 big guns in the circle this weekend. We have Ravara, the Field Marshal, and St. Lawrence O'Toole. Yeah, now, as to where this prize is going to go is anyone's guess. I think what makes the All-Ireland Championships unique, it's kind of similar to the Scottish Championships in a way, where our Grade 1 bands have to play twice. They have to play an MSR set and a medley selection on the day. So, yeah, I've seen bands win the All-Ireland Championships on MSR preference. That has happened so many times before. And we all know that there is a very keen rivalry amongst all these bands, and they're all itching to get that All-Ireland title. How will this fare out at the weekend is anyone's guess, and I'm genuine about that. I know that the Field Marshal have just lifted 2 majors this year, yes, but in my honest opinion, I think St. Lawrence O'Toole and Ravara will definitely be a challenge for the mighty FM this weekend. So I don't believe it's going to be a walk in the park. I believe it'll be a hard-fought battle in Grade 1 this weekend. Yeah, all 3 of those bands can certainly thump a tune, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be so entertaining to watch. Now, for those people in the circle, it's not going to be entertaining. It's going to be a big ball of stress. But I wish you all the very best of luck. We will all be cheering for each one of you. And, may the best band win, I guess. Good luck to all of you. And again, I know, I've already said this before, kind of joking and passing, but genuinely, good luck to our judges. I think they're going to have their work cut out for them here. There's so many grades here, all the way from the Wild West up to the top flight. It's going to be a very hard-fought victory for any band that steps in that circle this weekend. The standard across the board here is kind of ridiculous, and I don't know. If anyone asked me for predictions for the All-Irelands, no chance. Haven't a clue, and I wouldn't even hazard a guess. But I do want to wish everyone who is stepping out, and I know we haven't mentioned our drum majors as well. That's on me, but you can go and check all of that detail. It is published up there now on the RSPBA Northern Ireland website. Right, let's briefly run through it here, shall we? I've had a quick flick through. Novice, we have 2 heats for novice. We have 3 for our juniors, 2 for juveniles, and 3 for our adults, or seniors as they're listed on the site. So there you go. Shout out to all of our drum majors. The reason I'm not mentioning or shouting you out and everything is because genuinely I don't know enough. That's just being honest. But the standard of bands and drum majoring this season has considerably lifted. And good luck to our judges as well as all of our competitors. Yeah. All right. Now, not only that, one of the attractions at the All-Ireland Championships this weekend that nobody's really mentioned yet, well, this weekend we're going to see the return of the 70s tribute band. Yeah. Now, for those of you who've checked out the website and stuff, they kind of announced it but didn't announce it, if that makes sense. There is a downloadable version of the program that you can buy on the day. You can check it out on the website. It's there. You can download it and have a read at it. Well, in the program, it actually lists that the 70s tribute band will be playing in the Grade 1 arena between the MSR competition and the medley. So that weird little break in the middle of the 2 Grade 1 competitions, the 70s tribute band will fill that gap and go in there and thump out a tune. Now, the tunes that they're going to play here. Oh, I can't wait for this. Yeah, the 70s tribute band are going to step into the circle and they're going to play the 1980 Shots on Dykehead Caledonia winning medley. Now, for those of you scratching your head wondering which one was that, well, that's the Morrison Avenue medley. All right, now I know everyone's going, oh, yep, the Morrison Avenue medley from Shots. Back in the early 80s, 1980 to be precise. That is going to be all sorts of blistering. So I can't wait to see it in person. Of course, ourselves in the Rab Show, we will be, filming everything. So if you do want to catch that and you aren't at the event or can't make it, well, don't worry. We have you covered. We'll catch all the competing action, but we will also make a point to catch the 70s tribute band. That medley is absolutely magic. I've actually listened back to it a bunch of times over this last while. I think we've played it on Fuse a few times too. So, yeah, just by sheer coincidence. We didn't know that was the tunes they were going to be playing. But, yeah, the Morrison Avenue medley by Shots will be in the circle this weekend thanks to the 70s tribute band. Brilliant. So, for everything that I've just spoken about and every detail about this competition, the All-Ireland Championships has their own website. Go to the IPBA.ie, follow all the links to do with the event. And, of course, you can go to the RSPBA Northern Ireland where they have also published details about this weekend's All-Ireland Championships. Folks, this is going to be exciting on many different levels, where bands on this side of the Irish Sea are just so excited and anxious, and I'm going to say it, they're hungry. There's so many bands out there that really actively want to win this All-Ireland title. It's going to be such a blistering battle this weekend. So, yes, we will keep you covered on the Rab Show, of course. And, we'll be back next week and wrap up all the details of who won what and where from the All-Irelands. There you go. But yeah, great to see the Irish Pipers from San Francisco and the city of Dunedin making the trip across from the US. Is this the start of possibly more bands making the journey to compete at the All-Irelands? I hope so. But yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, long may that continue. And hey, in future years, you never know. You might see even more bands traveling across to compete at the All-Irelands. I'm here for that. That's brilliant. Yeah. It just makes a great event better. All right, let's fly on. I think at this point, I am going to draw a line under things. All right, there's just way too much for us that we could have got into, but I am drawing a line under things right now. All right, because we have to get into our topic. There's so much ground to cover with the Euros. Yeah, we need to nip it in the bud, as they say. So again, if there is anything that we've neglected to mention, promote, plug, or even just to say in passing, please do email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and we'll bring it to a future show. All right, you've waited this long. I think it's time for me to finally go and get myself a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom-designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs.
Marchify, the brand new home of Flam 5 drumming. Check out their brand new Strike bagpipe case, inspired by their colourful, popular and reliable Flam 5 drum cases. The Strike bagpipe case combines durability, style and practicality, protecting every movement. Shop now at marchify.co.uk with worldwide shipping available. Marchify, every movement protected. Alrighty, time for topic of the week. Now, as you heard by the beginning of this week's show, the outfall from the European Championships has been largely negative. I don't think there has been any sort of positive discussion about this past weekend's Euros whenever it comes to, well, looking at the venue, the security, yeah, all of that. There was just so much. The parking, the buses, the gazebos, all of it. I think there hasn't been much in the way of anything positive. But you know what I am going to say that was positive that we did get fed back to us? Was the Portaloos. Yeah, we were told that the Portaloo situation at the Euros was really quite good. I'll take that. There you go. That's something positive. Now, not only were the Portaloos brilliant, but the food choices as well. Loads of great food options. If anything, there was tons of food vendors. Granted, those food vendors were parked and packed around the Grade 1 arena. Yeah, so as you were standing playing your medley selection, you could be, sniffing someone cooking a burger. Or you go, oh, here, I smell. Oh, there's a fish supper being made over there. How long I have to break into the reel now? I'll be back. I'll get my cod supper in a minute. Right. So, yeah. Yes, the Grade 1 arena was round where the food vendors were, and that was distracting, I guess. But, they had to make the best of what limited space they had, and it was a challenge for sure. Clearly, it was a challenge, because that was kind of the number one topic for most folks about just how squished in everybody was, and how that kind of impacted on performances as well. And whenever folks said, no, it won't impact on a performance, yes, it does. It absolutely does. I have seen it and felt it myself. Whenever you're standing on the line and you're hearing the band coming behind you in final tuning and they hit your intro and you're hearing their opening rolls and you're waiting for your own opening rolls. Weird. And it does. It messes with your concentration. And final tuning areas being too close is an issue. So anyway, that's me. I'll get off my soapbox. You folks have heard enough negativity about the Euros. We've covered all of it, all right? And yes, if you do have your own particular story that you would like reflected here on the show, of course, you can send us in your listener mail, bigrabshow@gmail.com, or you can send us in your own weekly drone. I reckon that the outfall from the Euros will continue for a while. All of that stuff to do with the venue, the security, the ticketing, the parking, the food, all of that will continue. But I think there's definitely some lessons to be learned from it. And I'm hopeful that, the lessons learned from the Euros will be carried forward to future events. And hey, we may not have all of those things for the next one. All right, let's fly on. Let's actually talk about some of the action and competition that took place in Perth. Outside of the venue and all of that stuff, let's get talking about some of the competitive action in here, because honestly, I think standards across the board have definitely risen again. Even from our UK Championships, where standards were already high at that point for the second major, here we are now, the third major in the calendar, and things are just getting slightly ridiculous. All right, let's start off with our drum majors then, first of all, and our junior European champion, Molly McMahon. Yes, go on, Molly. From Altneve Memorial, of course. In second place was Willa Rose Elliott. Yes. In third place on M&D Preference was Holly Gracie from Irvine Memorial. Well done, Holly. In fourth place was Hannah Campbell from Grantia. There you are. That's your top four there in your junior grade. Well done. And to Molly, shout out. Yeah. Again, for all of these drum majors that I'm reading out and the prizes and everything, if you do want to go and see their competitive run, actually, we do have videos of all of the drum majoring action up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. So, shameless plug. Go and check it out. All right, let's go on to Juvenile then, and winner on the day and European champion for 2026, Carries Graham. Go on, Carries. From Down Pipes and Drums, of course. Well done. Carries actually lifted the top spot with 0 dress faults. So, fantastic. There you go. In second place was Lydia Todd from McNeilstown. She placed in second, actually, in M&D Preference. Yes, because she was on equal points with our third place finisher, which was Catherine Spears from Burnt Island and District. Yes, well done, Catherine. In fourth place then was Georgia Turkington from the Matt Boyd Memorial. Go on, Georgia. There you go. And that's your top four there for your juveniles. Moving on to our adult grade then. Yeah, M&D preference comes into play here for our adults, but our European champion for 2026, Jamie Lee Wilson, Breedy Ulster Scots. Go on, Jamie Lee. Now, Jamie Lee lifted that top spot there with 0 dress faults again. Now, I've learned about these dress faults, and it's very interesting. Like the dress that happens very early in the morning, when you get the Formula One pit crew and the drum major stands there in their uniform getting prepared to get marked on their dress. That's a really intense moment. And it always happens at the Scrake of Dawn too. Like, it's always dead early. People are walking about eating their bacon rolls and drum majors are standing there looking impeccable. So shout out to our drum majors. And yeah, to walk away with 0 dress faults, that's fantastic. Well done, Jamie Lee, and European champion. In second place then on M&D preference was Louise Smighton from Closkelt. Woo! Go on, Louise. Yeah, so she actually finished on equal points, as I was saying. M&D preference, put her into second, but she was equal on 6 points with Emma Barr from the Field Marshal Montgomery, who finished in third. Well done, Emma. Yeah. And in fourth place was Louis Anderson from New Ross and District. There you go. Well done, Louis. So again, folks, go and have a look at our drum major summary sheets. Honestly, they clearly had an extremely competitive day. With placings being, split between with M&D preference. Again, that seems to come through so much with their drum majoring action. It tells you, how slim the margins are. And yeah, if you haven't seen any of the drum majoring action, again, I'm going to plug the YouTube channel. Go and check it out. All of those runs from the drum majoring arena is up there now on the Rab Show YouTube channel. Go and have a look at it. But yeah, well done to our European champions, to Jamie Lee Wilson, Carrie Graham, and Molly McMahon. Well done to all of you. Yeah, European champions. All right, let's get into our bands then, shall we? Now, we're going to kick off with Novice Juvenile B. And for anyone listening to the podcast right now, okay, hit pause. Pause the podcast at this point. I want you to get the full summary sheets up in front of you when you're listening to my voice. The only reason being is because Novice Juvenile B... What is going on in Novice Juvenile B? Woo! Yeah. Now, Novice Juvenile B, they really didn't make it easy for the judges in here, did they? I think that's the story to tell here from Novice B. Go and have a look at it, all right? I'm going to read the top 4 finishers, of course, and then we'll get into some of the breakdowns. They're really quite interesting. All right. Shout out to our European champions for 2026 in Novice B, Dollar Academy. Go on, Dollar. Yes, they placed in the top spot with the first ensemble. They actually had a first in piping as well. We'll talk more about the breakdown. We'll get into all of that. So in second place was Bucksburn and District Novice. Yes. In third place was Stirling and District Schools Junior. Yes, well done. And in fourth place then was Kintyre Schools. Yeah. Now, the drumming actually went to the Glasgow Academy on the day. Yeah, so well done, Glasgow Academy. But however, they finished in 8th place overall. Yeah. Now, as I've said, to go and have a look at the summary sheets, because do you remember in previous Rab shows where we were talking about the differences in placings between drumming and ensemble? Well, looking at this, there is some very clear gaps here between what the ensemble judge was after and what the drumming judge was looking for. Glasgow Academy is a fine example of that. They lifted the drumming with a first in drumming. However, a 9th in ensembles, well down the pecking order in ensemble. Not sure. Anyway, disagreements on what different judges are looking for, I guess. Another one that had a stark contrast was the Hutchison's Grammar School. Now, who finished 14th overall on the day. However, they had a 4th in drumming and a 15th in ensemble. Now, that's a huge gap of almost 10 places. So, again, it shows how different the disciplines are between what the drumming judge is looking for around, execution and accuracy and all of that, and what the ensemble judge is after, looking for that overall picture. It can be two very different worlds. And by the looks of things in Novice Juvenile B, yeah, there was quite a number of disagreements here between what the drumming judge was after and what the ensemble judge was after. And even the piping judges too had some considerable disagreements in here as well. One piping judge might have had a band There was some big gaps here. That's all I'm going to say. There were some big gaps. So go and have a look at the summary sheets for Novice B. It seemed to be they didn't make it easy for the judges that day, which is brilliant as a spectator, isn't it? It's brilliant. Love to see it. But yes, well done to our European champions in Novice B, Dollar Academy. Well done, folks. All right, moving on to Novice Juvenile A then, and European champions for 2026, George Watson's College. Hold on, George Watson's College 369 to be precise. Yes, they lifted the top spot, of course, 2 firsts in piping, first in drumming, so they lifted the drumming as well. However, a second on ensemble, because our first place in ensemble finisher actually came in the runner-up spot, which was North Lanarkshire Schools. Yes, well done. In third place was Renfrewshire Schools, 1225. Yeah, and in fourth place was Dollar Academy, 990. There you are, that's your top 4. So yeah, Novice A, again, not huge arguments between drumming judge and ensemble. There has been a few here. Shout out to the High School of Dundee that had an 11th in drumming, however 5th in ensemble. So again, another difference of opinion there. But like we say, these judges are looking for different things. The drumming judge, as I've said, looking for accuracy, execution, all from a drumming perspective, and the ensemble is more the overall picture. If you do need to go back and have a listen to our ensemble episode where we talk to Pipe Major Rab Matheson all about ensemble, that's a good listen right there and kind of gives you an idea of what the ensemble judge could possibly be listening for. Very interesting. So, but yeah, shout out to Novice Juvenile A, European champions, George Watson's College, 369. Well done, folks. All right, moving on to Grade 4B, or as we've been calling it around here, the Wild West. Oh, time for Grade 4B. Now, yeah, I think the results in here in 4B, I have went back and listened to quite a number of the runs from 4B, and yeah, there's so many bands in here that absolutely played out of their skin. This was a difficult day again for our judges in the Wild West. But yeah, full congratulations have to go to our European champions for 2026, Arbroath. Go on, the Arbroath. Yes, had an absolutely cracking run on the day, managed to get a good listen, and yeah, it was fantastic. So well done, Arbroath. So yeah, 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble, however, an 8th in drumming, but still, that was them in the top spot. Well done, Arbroath. In second place was Dumfries. Yes, well done, Dumfries. And in third place was Lanark District. Yeah. In fourth place then was Uddingston Strathclyde, who also managed to lift the drumming. Go on, the Uddy! Wild West. There you go. So, yeah, lifting the drumming there for the Uddy. Well done. So, again, go and have a look at those summary sheets. Again, we're seeing arguments here between the drumming judge and ensemble judge. Mention has to go to Lanark District, had a 10th in drumming, finished in 3rd overall, but finished 4th in ensemble. So that gap between 10th and 4th, big difference of opinion there. Also have to mention Dean Castle, pipes and drums, who finished 10th overall. They had a 4th in drumming and a 10th in ensemble. Again, huge, not differences of opinion, I think, is what both judges are after here. Could be completely different things. Yeah, so ensemble is its own animal, and we shouldn't be comparing apples to oranges, I don't believe. So I know some people do make that comparison, but yeah, go and have a look at the summary sheets. As I mentioned, draw your own conclusions, but to say that the Wild West is exactly that, the Wild West is an understatement. Oh, Grade 4B, I love it. But yeah, congratulations to Arbroath, our European champions for 2026. Yeah. Moving on to Grade 4A then. What a grade this is, man. Yeah, I've watched the entire grade, by the way, in Grade 4A from the Euros. Such great music been played in here. I do have some highlights that I want to share with you. But yeah, shout out to our European champions in Grade 4A, the city of St Andrews. Go on, St Andrews. Wow, and what a performance it was too. Jeepers. If you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favour and go and watch it. Such clean playing, very musical, and really enjoyable to listen to. The drum corps were just absolutely locked in, by the way, as well. Very impressed run with the drum corps. And yeah, ensemble-wise as well, they had ones right across the board. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. They swept the boards. Just a cracking run by the city of St Andrews. Well done. In second place was the Rat Eye Pipe Band. Now, I believe that is the correct pronunciation. There's been people out there trying to correct me saying, no, Rab, it's the Rat Eye. No, it isn't. It's the Rat Eye Pipe Band. I've been told this by actual members of the band. So if they're wrong, then that we're all wrong. But yeah, the Rat Eye Pipe Band, well done. Again, another cracking run, actually. So yeah, super to listen to. In second place. In third place was the City of Discovery. Go on, City of Discovery. Yes. And in fourth place then were Kirkcaldy and the Streets. Yes. Now, again, I would urge you to go and have a listen to the full grade. I do have my own particular highlights. Obviously, City of St Andrews, top of the pile. And for good reason. They had such a cracking run. It was undeniable, really. So, so good. The Rat Eye Pipe Band as well, especially in their piping, had a really strong run. Big sound. And they actually split the piping with the City of Discovery in third place, and they were equally just as good. Very, very strong. A band that I was really impressed with, however, did not finish in the top four, were Strathendrick. Strathendrick Pipe Band, I think, honestly had a really good run. And I thought they had a real good set. And if I was playing in that, I would have come off with a huge smile on my face. That was really strong performance. And go and have a listen to Strathendrick. You know what I'm talking about. I think they had a really good performance, particularly in their pipe core. Very clean playing, big tone, great chanter sound, just really, really good. So go and have a listen to Strathendrick. And if anything, go and have a listen to 4A. Very enjoyable grade there at the Euros. But yeah, congratulations to City of St Andrews, our European champion for 2026. All right, let's go on to our juvenile grade, which was so entertaining. I've seen like 3 of the runs, and haven't seen them all yet. There's still a few bands that I haven't seen yet. But what I have seen, fantastic. Yeah. There you go. All right, let's go on. Our European champion for 2026, George Watson's College Juvenile. Yes, well done, the George Watsons. Now, they lifted that top spot, however, on ensemble preference. Oh, baby! Yes, because they finished on equal points with Dollar Academy, our second place finisher. Ooh, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, Dollar absolutely thumped a big tune. Oh, so good. Anyway, in third place was George Heriot Schools. Well done, George Heriot. And in fourth place was the PL, Preston Lodge High School, 969 to be precise. Yeah. So drumming on the day also went to George Watson's College. Well done, George Watson's. And yeah, this juvenile grade's starting to hot up now. So it is. It's really interesting. Dollar actually lifted the piping, the 2 firsts in piping. However, a second in drumming and second in ensemble had them in that second spot because George Watson's lifted it on ensemble preference. Yeah, it shows how slim the margins are, but a very enjoyable grade. And yeah, you can go and enjoy that on the Rab Show YouTube channel. Again, I should have a button that says shameless plug, but there it is. Yeah. So congratulations to George Watson's College Juvenile, our European champion for 2026. All right, let's move on to grade 3B. Quite a big grade on the day, actually, with 15 bands in the circle. So a lot to get through here. But yes, our European champion in grade 3B for 2026, Troon Caledonia Pipe Band. Go on, the Troon Caledonia. Way brilliant. So yeah, they done so by lifting the drumming as well. Yeah, first in drumming, first in ensemble, and that was enough to pull them into that top spot there. So well done, Troon Caledonia. Yeah. In second place on ensemble preference were Govan. Yes, well done, Govan. 2 seconds in piping, second in ensemble, however, a 7th in drumming. So that was them in the second place there on ensemble preference. Because, yeah, they were level pegging points with a third place finisher, Kilbarkin. Now, Kilbarkin finished in third. However, they had 2 firsts in piping. Yeah, so it shows that their drumming was in 6th place and ensemble was 5th. So, yeah, down the pecking order with those 2. But still, that was them in the top 3. Well done to Kilbarkin. In 4th place was William Wood. Yes, well done, William Wood. And so, yeah, do you know what? That grade in grade 3B, again, I've already said this, but I think the action this year for some of the most interesting music being played is in 3B and 3A. Now, you can absolutely tell me that that's stuff that Rab got wrong, but I honestly think this is where the action is whenever it comes to interesting new music. Go and have a listen to some of these performances. Now, to be honest, I have yet to hear Troon Caledonia That's on me. I haven't actually heard the performance yet. Haven't managed to spot a video of it yet. But I have had a listen to Govan, Kilbarkin, and William Wood. Even Stockbridge as well had a really good tune. Oh, by the way, shout out to Lower Clyde as well. Wow. The drum corps was absolutely clicking. I don't know what the drum corps had for breakfast that morning, but dang, they were good. So many great performances in here. Did not make it easy for the judges, which is what I love to see. Go and have a look at the summary sheets again. Draw your own conclusions here. We see the piping judges having some disagreements, let's say that, but we're also seeing some disagreements between the drumming and the ensemble. That seems to be the story for the day here. But yeah, grade 3B, such an interesting grade. Musically, a lot of great stuff being played. But congratulations to our European champion, Trin Caledonia Pipe Band. All right, let's move on to 3A then. Grade 3A. This grade, at this point in the season, we should start to see trends developing. Bands that are already gaining ahead of momentum towards the big yin in Glasgow. And are we seeing that in 3A? No, we're not. No, we're not at all. Grade 3A is such a mixed bag at the moment. It's almost on a par with Grade 4B, the Wild West. Yeah, I don't know. Grade 3A, anyone can roll into that grade and lift that top spot. It's so competitive in there at the moment. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, so let's give a shout out to our prize winner, shall we? Yeah, our European champion for 2026 in Grade 3A, Burnt Island and Districts. Yeah! Go on, the Burnt Island. Wow. Now, Burnt Island lifted her with 2 firsts in piping. Such a good run from the pipe corps for Burnt Island. Such a good day. And just the thing that hit me with Burnt Island was the sound. I think that's what done it for me. The playing was great. The music was brilliant. But the sound. I think the particular recording I heard of Burnt Island, I had my headphones on. As I was listening to other stuff from 3A, headphones on. But the sound from Burnt Island, I don't know what their pipe corps were doing that day, but man, they clicked that day. Something happened. Well done, Burnt Island. Fantastic. In second place were Macanta. Now, Macanta, again, their drum corps had a cracking good run. Pipe corps as well were really good, and the band overall just seemed to be together. So, yeah, they were up for the challenge against Burnt Island, but yeah, they were in the runner-up spot. In third place, in ensemble preference, was a band that we were talking about on Fuse last night, Livingston, Caledonia. Yeah, and their drum corps. What is going on with their drum corps? Just another level. They lifted the drumming on the day, of course, for the run that they had was just epic. And they had a first in drumming, first in ensemble, however, 2 sevenths in piping, so that had them in the third spot there. But they were in third in ensemble preference because they shared the points with Elgin in District, who also had a cracking run as well. So, yeah, they actually split the piping with Macanta, who finished in second there. Yeah. So, folks, go and have a look at the summary sheets. I know I keep saying this, but Grade 3A, you can see for yourself just how difficult the judges had it that day. Not an easy day to be a judge in there with a clipboard in Grade 3A. As I've said, some of the music being played in this grade is honestly, I think it's ahead of its time. There's some really interesting things happening musically in Grade 3B and 3A, especially at majors. Go and have a listen, folks. Anyway, I'm going to start naming names. People get upset that I don't mention their band. But some of the music that was played, I have to give mention to City of London. I really enjoyed their performance. I thought they played a really strong set. Also, shout out to the Uddy as well, Uddingston Strathclyde. I love their opener, and yep, I thought their set at the Euros was just fantastic. Well done. Elgin and District as well. I really did enjoy their performance, actually. Again, I thought their pipe corps were just really clicking as well. Very clean playing, very precise. Just, yeah, very enjoyable stuff. Also, I have to give a mention to the City of Discovery Pipe Band. He finished in 5th place overall on the day, but they done so with 2 seconds in piping. Yeah, their pipe corps were absolutely, I don't know. So, yeah, Grade 3A. Is it the new Wild West? I don't know. I'll take your advice on that one. Do you think 3A is similar to the Wild West? And 4B, that any band on their day could step in and win that thing. I don't know. I'll leave that to you. You guys know better than me because I don't want to get emails and say, oh, that's stuff that Rab got wrong. Anyway, let's move on to the ridiculous grade. In grade 2, yeah, our European champion for 2026, the Royal Borough of Annan. Go on, Royal Borough. Wow. What a weekend it was for Royal Borough. Now, again, if you haven't heard the performance from them, you really should. It is kind of ridiculous. And at this point in the season, you heard me talking about getting momentum and all of that. Well, we're starting to see that with certain bands here in the ridiculous grade, aren't we? Yeah. Shout out to Royal Borough, who's certainly been in winning ways this last while, and for good reason. If you heard the run, I don't think anyone can disagree. It was such a strong performance from Royal Borough. Well done. Totally deserved. With 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble, however, a second in drumming, but that was enough to pull them into the top spot on the day. And European champions. Well done, Royal Borough. In second place in ensemble preference was Texo D-Side Caledonia. Yes, they were in second with 2 seconds in piping. They had a second in ensemble, however, a fourth in drumming. But again, that ensemble preference, yeah, that's the decider. That pulled them into the second spot there. Well done. In third place then was Buchan Peterson. Now, Buchan lifted the drumming that day. Such a smashing run it was too. Yeah, and I don't know. What else can I say? Buchan Peterson drum corps have been kind of cooking all year, in my opinion. I've always been a pleasure to listen to. So yeah, shout out to Buchan Peterson. In fourth place was Oban. Go on, the mighty Oban. Now, Oban's a band that we've been reading quite a lot in the prize list. And yeah, again, musically, producing some fireworks there. Go and have a listen to what Oban is doing in the circles. It's really quite dynamic, that. So some of the stuff that they play, it maybe takes not a second listen through sometimes to really get the full detail of it. And, you know, the music's very dense, in my opinion, but executed perfectly. So, yeah, well done to Oban. Pleasure to listen to. I'm going to go a little further than the top 4 this time. I have to give a mention to Uddingston, who finished in 5th place on ensemble preference. Well done to Uddingston. Again, I'm a huge fan of their drum corps, and the music that Uddingston have been producing this year, like, what to say? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I run out of descriptive words other than awesome. But it's so enjoyable. In 6th place then was Johnstone. Yes, Johnstone Pipe Band finishing in 6th place. And yeah, go and have a look at the summary sheets here, folks. Again, you can see clearly from the summary sheets that our bands did not make it easy for judges. All right? And I love to see that. You know, I know people like to look at summary sheets and then say, oh, judges were arguing, there's big gaps, and we did mention that earlier. But that just tells you how good the music was. You know, that if a judge was like scratching their head with the pencil going, oh, where am I going to place these ones? Well, that's a good day. It means everyone's walked in there and played out of their socks, you know? So it's a good thing, in my opinion. But there you go. Go and have a look at the summary sheets for grade 2, for novice B in particular, but all the others as well. It does make for an interesting read, that. But yeah, shout out to Royal Borough of Annan. Absolutely deserved European champions. If you haven't listened to the run, go and have a listen. It was such a cracking run. Fantastic. Yeah, well done. European champions. Okay, we're finally there, folks. We're talking about the top flight. Now, yeah, this was kind of a disappointing contest because we didn't have the full complement of grade 1 bands that we're used to seeing because Ravara were not in the mix. So we had 8 bands in total here for the Euros. So, as by now I'm sure everyone has heard who had placed in the top spot, you don't need me to say it, European champion for 2026, Phil Marshall Montgomery. Yes, Phil Marshall Montgomery placing in that top spot, lifting their second major title for the year. Done so quite convincingly as well, I might add. 2 firsts in piping, first in drumming, however, a second in ensemble. But that was enough to pull them into that top spot. Field Marshal absolutely delivered. I don't have the words to describe it, but when I first heard the recording, whenever I got the videos sent in to me from Ewan, I had the results and I knew that Field Marshal had won, but I decided to listen to the competition as it unfolded on the day. So shout out to Ewan who sent me all the videos, and he actually sent them in order of play. So the band that was drawn first was the first video that I got, and vice versa. I went down the pecking order: the first band, second band, third band, fourth, etc. And I played them all in turn. And I sat here in my studio, in Rab Show Studios, with a pen and paper, and I tried to be my own armchair judge. At this point, I hadn't been able to see the summary sheets because, well, the website had crashed. Oh, yeah, that's another topic. The website had crashed, and no one was able to look at the summary sheets. But that was very quickly fixed, by the way. So, yes. So, just wanted to tell you that. I sat here as an armchair judge going through the videos, and I listened to them in sequence, band after band, and I tried to imagine what, if I was in there with a clipboard, how would I place each band if I was, say, a piping judge, a drumming judge, ensemble. And as it turned out, I was absolutely completely wrong on every front. Oh, every single thing that I tried to place in my own head, I said, right, okay, I'll have Field Marshal with this place in piping, this place in drumming, that place in ensemble. Right? No, I got every one of them wrong. Disaster. I don't know how judges do it, man. And we spoke about this on Fuse last night. We talked about, in grade 1, mistakes, errors, they don't happen. They just don't exist in grade 1. You know, even things like bad blowing, intonation problems, you know, maybe someone goes into a wrong part or something. None of that happens in grade 1. It's non-existent. So how else are the judges supposed to separate the bands? Well, they're just going to have to go on a feeling, aren't they? A gut feeling as to what they thought. Hey, I believe that was the first place performance right there. And it's all on the day. Can that band step into the circle and move that judge? I know, it's very subjective, isn't it? But I think Field Marshal Montgomery, on the day, accomplished that goal. They stepped in there and they thumped out that medley selection and left every judge there with no room for doubt. So well done to the Field Marshal. Now, as for our second place finisher, People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate Caledonia, they were just such a pleasure to listen to. That medley selection, man, and the fireworks from Kerr McQuillan and his drum corps, just another level. I can't describe it. Just some of the thunder and the pizzazz that you get from the drum corps there at People's Ford, that really adds to the performance for me. And I can see why the ensemble judge placed them in first. Clearly, you know, all of that, you know, the fireworks, all of that, you know, the filigree, the amazement factor with Boghall, but they get with their medley. I can absolutely see that. So yeah, well done to Boghall. Now, for me personally, our third place finisher, St. Lawrence O'Toole, honestly was my favourite performance on the day. Now, I know people's going to go, what are you talking about, Rab? Controversial. Yeah, but for me, I've always loved St. Lawrence's music, always have. But I think the performance here at Perth at the Euros was possibly one of the strongest I've heard from St. Lawrence this season so far. So far, I might add. There's more to come, of course. But dang, were they singing. So good. St. Lawrence O'Toole, man, I don't know. They're hitting form right now. I would never count out St. Lawrence, in my opinion. Some of the music we've heard from them this season already, just electric. Yeah, and you've heard my thoughts about what I'm looking forward to this weekend at the All-Irelands. Yeah, we'll not get into that again, but yeah, St. Lawrence absolutely cooking here at the Euros. Such a pleasure to watch. Well done, St. Lawrence, in third place. In fourth place then, we're Inverary in District. Yes, our defending world champions stepping into the circle and placing in fourth place was seen as a bit of a shock by some pundits out there. And yeah, it is a bit shocking. And I don't know. Fourth place for Inverary. Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm not a judge. Again, I'm going to, sit on the fence with this one. I honestly don't know. Inverary District stepped in there and absolutely thumped a tune. As did those other bands I just mentioned. But I don't know. Did they move the judge enough for them to go first, second, third, whatever? Clearly not in this case. Now, as to what the reasons are for this, no idea. But what we can see is that the piping judges actually had a bit of a disagreement here. One piping judge had Inverary 3rd, whereas the other piping judge had them 5th. Yeah. So I just don't know. It's so subjective, folks, and it's all on that judge's opinion on the day. We don't know what they heard, and we don't know exactly what their own particular musical tastes is. You know, what would move them on the day? What are they looking for? Well, Inverary District in 4th place. They were. In 5th place was Police Scotland Fife, and yeah, if going by some of the commentary we got last night on Fuse, people absolutely loving that medley from Police Scotland Fife. We got it requested again and again last night on Fuse. It's definitely a crowd favourite. And yeah, shout out to Mick and the drum corps there at Fife, actually, but the 3rd in drumming, 3rd in ensembles. Not a bad weekend's work for the mighty Fife there, yeah. Well done. In 6th place then was Shots and Dykehead Caledonia. Yeah, and again, this is such a challenging and difficult grade. Where I honestly thought Shots played an absolute blinder. I thought they had a great run with no great glaring errors or nothing like that. As I say, it doesn't happen in grade 1. But it all depends on whether you can move that judge significantly enough for them to go, oh, love that, 1st place. Do you know, that's what we're at here. It's competitive art. Every artist in that circle are definitely worth their salt. So it just depends on whether the judge, I like that one, or I didn't like that. What? There was no mistakes or nothing. Like, the music was brilliant, but it just didn't do it for me. And I think that's where we are with grade 1 now. You know, it doesn't come down to mistakes anymore. You know, there's no big flubs in there. There's no big glaring errors. There's nothing like that in grade 1. It all depends on if the music moves you in grade 1. And, yeah, we've seen evidence of that this past weekend in the Euros with the Field Marshal Montgomery stepping in there, getting that emotional response from our judges. There you are. So I know a lot of people who have contacted us in the Rab Show had all of the negative stuff to talk about, the venue, the security, the everything. But honestly, the action that happened in the circle this past weekend was electric. I do want to say congratulations to all of the bands that took part. I think overall, when you look at this musically, it was a huge success. I think every band that hit that circle has definitely took a step up from where they were previously. And that's what you need. At this point in the season, with the 3rd major championship now behind us, bands are showing signs of progress. They're certainly not resting on their laurels, thinking to themselves, okay, we've competed at this major, we've achieved ABC, and now it's time to sit back and relax and do nothing. No. If anything, we're seeing signs here that bands are certainly gaining momentum and are continuing to work furiously hard towards, well, the Scottish Championships and now the Worlds in Glasgow. It's hard to believe, folks, that this is July. Like, the Worlds is only just around the corner. Kind of crazy when you think of it that way. But before you know it, we'll be standing in Glasgow competing for the big yin. And, yeah, mental, isn't it? Where did that season go? But, yeah, to everyone that did step into the circle at the Euros, a full congratulations to all of you, especially if you did manage to lift some silverware. Congratulations. And, yeah, long is the road, I guess, and keep up the great effort. To those of you who didn't lift silverware, keep up the fight. You know, wasn't your day, but tomorrow's another day. And there is another major championship on the horizon, the Scottish. And, yeah, all to compete for, folks. It's wide open and pretty much in every grade, to be honest. So good luck, everyone, for the next one. We will be here for the Scottish, and we will be absolutely doing a full preview and wrap up from all things in Dumbarton. Yeah. But bringing it through to this weekend, of course, the All-Ireland Championships taking place in Lucan. We talked all about it, of course, in the news and updates. It's going to be such an exciting weekend for so many reasons. We talked all about it earlier. It's going to be such a blistering weekend, folks, of piping and drumming. We hope that you can continue to follow us, of course, as we do try to cover every aspect from the All-Irelands and everything else happening around the globe. Do make sure you are following us on our socials, on our YouTube channel if you're not subscribed, all that stuff. We're everywhere on social media. Do make sure you're following us, and we'll try our best to keep you up to date with everything that's going on. There you are. All right, folks, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thank you all for downloading this week and each and every week. And if there's anything that we haven't mentioned that we absolutely should have, then please do email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com, or you can send us in your weekly drone as well. Weekly drone, go to the Rab Show website, big button at the top of the page, and you can, let us know your story, warts and all, your opinions, of course, and we'll bring it to a future show. So that's it. Our European Championships is done. We have crowned our champions. And now we march on towards the fourth major in the calendar, the Scottish Championships. It's all to play for. But before we get there, we still have some more ground to cover with this weekend's All-Irelands and other minor championships around the globe. Folks, thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all in the next episode. Until then, take care, good luck, all the best.
Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.